Russia has just surrendered control over the single largest theater of operations since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. But no, we aren't talking about the muddy trenches of the Donbas or the fortifications of Zaporizhia. Ukraine hasn't launched a massive armored blitzkrieg across the eastern steppes, at least not yet. The territory Russia has lost isn't made of solid ground, it's liquid. Against all historical odds, the Black Sea now effectively belongs to Ukraine. This is a monumental geopolitical shift that completely redraws the strategic map of Eastern Europe. By breaking the back of the Russian Navy, Kyiv has achieved what many Western analysts deemed mathematically impossible. They have turned a 420,000 square kilometer maritime expanse into a no-go zone for the Kremlin. And far more importantly, this naval victory has set the stage for the ultimate prize of the war, the total operational isolation and eventual fall of illegally occupied Crimea. In a major strategic declaration, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine has achieved absolute operational control over the Black Sea. He pointed to the total crippling of Russia's Black Sea fleet, a force that has been completely paralyzed by a brilliant, low-cost asymmetric strategy. Today we look at how a nation without a traditional navy defeated a global naval superpower, analyzing the cold hard numbers of Russia's maritime disaster and what this means for the unfolding siege of Crimea. To understand the gravity of this victory, we must first look at the map. The Black Sea spans over 422,000 square kilometers. If you include the Sea of Azov, that number jumps to 461,000. For centuries, this body of water has been Russia's warm water gateway to the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and global trade. Long before the 2022 invasion, the Kremlin treated the Black Sea as its private lake. For decades, Moscow maintained a calculated policy of managed instability across the region. By leveraging its illegal 2014 annexation of Crimea and upgrading the historic naval base at Sevastopol, Russia turned the Black Sea Fleet into a primary tool of economic and military coercion. When the full-scale invasion kicked off, Putin's naval intent became immediately clear: economic strangulation. Ukraine is the historic breadbasket of Europe. In the year leading up to the war, Ukraine generated over $27 billion from agricultural exports, the vast majority of which sailed through the Black Sea. By enforcing a strict naval blockade, Russia intended to starve Kyiv of vital financial resources. Furthermore, the Black Sea Fleet was supposed to be a primary launch pad for amphibious assaults on Odessa and a floating battery to rain caliber cruise missiles down on Ukrainian cities. But then came April 14, 2022. On that day, 2 Ukrainian-made Neptune anti-ship missiles slammed into the Moskva, the guided missile cruiser and proud flagship of the Black Sea Fleet. As the Moskva sank into the abyss, the myth of Russian naval supremacy sank with it. Ukraine, a country with 0 conventional warships, realized it didn't need a massive fleet to win a naval war. It just needed to make the water too hot to handle. What followed was a masterclass in modern technological warfare. Kyiv deployed an interlocking network of aerial drones, Western-supplied cruise missiles, and homegrown explosive scouting vessels. Chief among these innovations is the Magura V5 maritime drone. Measuring just 5.5 meters in length, this low-profile hydrodynamic jet-propelled vessel is practically invisible to traditional Russian radar. Yet it carries a devastating punch up to 320 kilograms of military-grade explosives. Operating in swarms and guided via real-time satellite links, these kamikaze sea drones completely shifted the tactical paradigm. Russian warships designed to fight peer-level cruisers in open oceans found themselves utterly defenseless against swarms of explosive jet skis hunting them in the dark. For the first time, official military assessments have laid out the sheer scale of the devastation inflicted upon Putin's navy. The numbers are catastrophic. By mid-2024, Western intelligence confirmed that over a third of the Black Sea Fleet had been functionally deactivated or destroyed. Let's look at the breakdown of Ukraine's clinical campaign. First, Russia's primary surface combatants. Ukraine has successfully struck 12 of Russia's main warships. 4 of these have been completely sent to the bottom of the sea, while another 8 have suffered such severe structural damage that they are effectively out of commission for the foreseeable future. Second, the landing craft. These vessels were vital for Russia's logistics designed to ferry heavy armor and troops directly to the front lines. Ukraine has targeted them with 25 separate strikes, the result 15 landing ships completely destroyed and another 10 heavily damaged. Third, the auxiliary and support vessels, the backbone that keeps a fleet fueled and armed. Out of 12 targeted strikes, 3 were destroyed and 9 were left crippled. This brings the total to dozens of major naval assets neutralized. But the crisis for Moscow is compounded by a massive geographical trap. Under the 1936 Montreux Convention, Turkey has strictly closed the Bosphorus and Dardanelles Straits to all military vessels during wartime. This means Putin cannot send reinforcements from the Baltic or Pacific fleets to replenish his losses. The Black Sea Fleet is an endangered species, and it is actively being hunted to extinction. Faced with unsustainable losses, the Russian military command has been forced into an embarrassing historic retreat. The Black Sea Fleet has fled its historic multi-billion-dollar headquarters in Sevastopol, retreating east to Novorossiysk on the Russian mainland. Even when Russia wants to launch caliber cruise missiles, its warships rarely dare to enter open water. Instead, they remain moored inside heavily fortified harbors, firing their missiles while stationary, desperately hoping that harbor defenses can intercept incoming Ukrainian drones. This naval humiliation has triggered bizarre desperation within the Russian high command. Ukrainian partisan intelligence reports indicate that due to the forced grounding of the fleet, Russia has begun reassigning thousands of highly trained naval sailors into frontline drone operator units. Think about the strategic absurdity of this choice. Sailors who spent years training to operate complex naval vessels are now sitting in bunkers learning how to fly basic quadcopters because their multi-million-dollar warships are too terrified to leave the dock. But as devastating as losing the Black Sea is for Putin's pride, the tactical consequences are far worse. The collapse of the naval fleet has completely exposed the Crimean Peninsula. In military terms, Crimea is no longer a secure, unsinkable aircraft carrier projecting Russian power. It has become a massive, hyper-vulnerable logistical liability. Throughout 2026, Ukraine has executed a systematic multi-domain campaign to isolate the peninsula. With the Black Sea Fleet unable to secure the surrounding waters, Ukraine has shattered Russia's maritime supply lines. Recent strikes have successfully neutralized the vital transport ferries that Russia used to shuttle fuel and ammunition across the Kerch Strait. Simultaneously, Ukrainian long-range missile and drone strikes have turned the R-280 highway, the land bridge connecting Russia to southern Ukraine, into a literal highway from hell, littered with the charred hulls of military fuel trucks. Crimea's advanced S-400 air defense networks have been systematically hunted down and picked apart, leaving the peninsula's power grids, military airfields, and command bunkers completely exposed. The ultimate proof of Russia's panic came via intelligence reports showing that Russian state officials in the key Crimean cities of Kerch and Feodosia were given strict, urgent deadlines to pack up all official state documents and sensitive equipment for immediate evacuation back to the Russian mainland. The rats are actively preparing to leave the sinking ship. President Zelensky's declaration of total control over the Black Sea isn't political hyperbole, it is a cold, calculated military reality. Through innovative asymmetric engineering, a country without a conventional navy has broken the back of a nuclear superpower's fleet. By evicting Russia from the Black Sea, Ukraine has opened the door for the systematic choking out of Crimea. Without naval protection, without secure bridges, and without air superiority, the Russian occupation of the peninsula is operating on borrowed time. The first major domino of total victory has officially fallen, and it fell right into the depths of the Black Sea. What do you think? How long can Russia hold Crimea now that its fleet is out of the fight? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.